Good afternoon, everyone. Previous class, we learnt about the concept of liberalism and liberal nationalism, and this the term, the liberal nationalism. So it stand for. So basically in the economic sphere and in the political sphere, how the different people, so they were understood about this concept, that is about the liberal nationalism. See, this liberal nationalism, it was understood by the different people in a different way that we learned in the previous class. Now let us discuss about a new conservation after 1850. A new conservation. A new conservation after 1850. See, following the defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte in 1815, so after that, so the all European governments were driven by a spirit of conservatism. A spirit of conservatism. So, what is the meaning of conservatism? See, when Napoleon Bonaparte, when it was defeated by the European powers, such as actually we all of knows that the troop which was together defeated, so Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria all together, so they were defeated Napoleon Bonaparte in 1815. So after the defeat of the Napoleon Bonaparte in 1815, so the European governments, so they were driven by a spirit of conservatism. So what is this meaning of conservatism? So conservatism that refers a political philosophy that stressed the importance of tradition, established the institutions and customs, and preferred gradual development to quick change. So that categories we used to call as a conservatism. A political philosopher that stressed the importance of tradition and established institution and customs and preferred gradual development to quick change. See here, after that, after 1815, so these European governments were driven by a spirit of conservatism. So conservatives, they believed that established traditional institutions of state and society. That means they were go back to the monarch only. That means the old traditions, the old customs, and the old practices, whatever. So especially the conservatives, they were believed that established and especially traditional institutions of state and society, such as monarch, the monarchy also, they would like to once again establish in the European countries the monarchy only, and even the church also, and social hierarchies also, because during Napoleon administration, this social hierarchy it was actually abolished, and also property and the family should be preserved. Property and the family preserved. Most conservatives, however, did not propose a return to the society of free revolutionary days, so rather than realized from the changes initiated by the Napoleon. Whatever the Napoleon, he brought the initial changes in his administration, so actually they would like to follow some. They were realized that the essential of something, some changes in the society. So that especially the Civil Code of 1804, whatever brought the administrative changes, in the system of administrative, so almost all, especially the modernization, understood. So, in fact, strengthen the traditional institutions like the monarchy, according to the conservatives. So, modernization could, in fact, strengthen traditional institutions such as the monarchy, okay, and it could make state power more effective and strong. They, the conservatives, so they were believed like that. and a modern army also, and an efficient bureaucracy, a dynamic economy, the abolition of feudalism and serfdom could strengthen the autocratic monarchies of Europe. So these were all actually, so whatever they were brought the changes especially by the Napoleon Bonaparte, so that modernization could in fact strengthen traditional institutions, so such as monarchy. It could make the state power more and effective and strong, according to the conservatives. So, a modern army, an efficient bureaucracy, and a dynamic economy, the abolition of feudalism and serfdom, and all these things so could strengthen the autocratic power or the autocratic monarchies of Europe. See, in 1815, the European powers, especially Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria. So, Britain, Prussia, Austria, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia. So these the European powers who had collectively defeated the Napoleon. Actually, so in 1815, all these the different European countries, especially Britain, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, so collectively they were defeated the Napoleon. Then afterwards, so they were met at Vienna to draw up a settlement for Europe. So after the defeat of the Napoleon, then how again the settlement should be? So to discuss about, to make it clear about this, so they were all met at Vienna to draw up a settlement for Europe. See, the Congress was hosted by the Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. So, who was hosted now under the leadership of the Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. So, he was a Duke Metternich was a Austrian Chancellor. So actually, under his leadership, so all European powers they were met at Vienna. Okay, see here the delegates they were drew up the Treaty of Vienna of 1850. Treaty of all together under the leadership of Duke Metternich. So they were drew up Treaty of Vienna of 1815 and even is well known as the Vienna Congress of 1815 and it is called also the Treaty of Vienna of 1815 and also it is well known as so the Treaty of Vienna Congress 1815. See, what was the main object of undoing most of the changes that had come about in European during the Napoleonic Wars? So, what is the main intention of this, the Treaty of Vienna of 1815? So, it drew up in this assembly. So, the most, the main object of this Vienna Congress, so that is about undoing most of the changes that had come about in Europe during the Napoleon Wars. So whatever during the Napoleon Wars, so Napoleon brought the changes, so that must undoing. Understood now? So whatever the most of the changes, so it should not be undoing. They should not be continued. So according to that, the Bourbon dynasty, which had been deposed by during the French Revolution, once again it was restored to power. So these are all, whatever I am going to discuss now, these are all the main principles or the main whatever they drew or taken the decisions in this Vienna Congress. So according to that, the Bourbon dynasty, we all of knows that. So during French Revolution, actually it was deposed. Okay. So once again, according to this Treaty of Vienna or Vienna Congress of 1815, so it was restored to power once again in France. And France lost the territories it had annexed under Napoleon. So whatever the different territories were conquered by the Napoleon. So all those the different territories lost. Okay, so which are annexed by the Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay, and a series of states were set up on the boundaries of France to prevent French expansion in future. See, to avoid the France in future days, suppose in future days whether the France, if it is going to expand or its territory, so to avoid that, so what they were taken action? No, a series of states were set up on the boundaries of France to prevent French expansion in future. So that's what they were created, a series of states. So surrounding are the boundaries of the France country. Okay, and the Kingdom of the Netherlands, which included Belgium, was set up in the north. So these are all the changes which were brought through this Vienna Congress. So what happened? The Kingdom of the Netherlands, which were included Belgium, was set up in the north, and Genoa was added to Piedmont in the south, and Prussia was given important new territories on its western frontiers, while Austria was given control of northern Italy. So, but the German Confederation of 39 states, we know that, so the German Confederation of 39 states that had been set up by the Napoleon Bonaparte, so it was left untouched. That means the 39 states of German Confederation that continued the same how it was so set the Napoleon Bonaparte in the same way. So they were not going to touch anything also. I mean the same, the German state, I mean the confederation of the 39 states that had been set up by the Napoleon Bonaparte. So it was left untouched. So they were decided like that. And in the east, Russia was given part of the Poland, while Prussia was given a portion of Saxony. So this is all the what the mutual understanding. Okay, so in the east, what happened? No, Russia was given the part of the Poland, while Prussia was given a portion of Saxony. And the main intention was to restore the monarchies that had been overthrown by Napoleon. So, what was the main intention of this, the Treaty of Vienna Congress? So, it was very clear that the main intention of the Vienna Congress, that is about to once again to restore the monarchies that had been overthrown by the Napoleon and create a new conservative order in Europe. So this is what the main intention and main principle of the Treaty of Vienna Congress or the Vienna Congress of 1815. Understood now? See, the conservative regimes set up in 1815 were autocratic. So they did not tolerate criticism and dissent and sought to curb activities that questioned the legitimacy of autocratic governments. So they were not allowed to even the criticize also, and even the any other the curb activities so that question the legitimacy of autocratic governments. So that's completely avoided. So most of them imposed censorship laws. We all of you knows that the importance of the censorship. So without the government knowledge, so any media, so they are not going to publish, so must go through the government itself only. So here the censorship law to control what was said, the newspaper, books, plays, song, and even reflected the ideas of liberty and freedom also. So these are all completely controlled by the autocratic monarchies. Why? Why these are all no? Once again, to restore the monarchy successfully in the European countries. So these are all actually associated with the French Revolution. even the newspaper publishing and even the songs played drama or whatever the activities, the curb activities were conducted by the people and the scholars and the philosophers. These are all goes through the government through the by applying censorship law, because they knows that very clearly. So because of these only, so these ideas completely associated with the French Revolution and the autocratic rulers, so they don't want to repeat the same things, so that's what they were applied the censorship law. And the memory of the French Revolution nonetheless continued to inspire liberals. So, one of the major issues taken up by the liberal nationalists who criticized the new conservative order was freedom of the press. So, this is also so there was no freedom of the press also. Now, the revolutionaries. See, during the years following 1815, the fear of repression drove many liberal nationalists underground. Secret societies were sprang up in many European states to train revolutionaries and spread their ideas. See, to be revolutionary at this time meant a commitment to oppose the monarchical forms that had been established after the Vienna Congress and to fight for liberty and freedom. So, most of these revolutionaries also saw the creation of nation states as a necessary parts of struggle for freedom. So, about this, we are going to continue in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.